coach Jenny Levy, Taylor Moreno, and Jamie Ortega will take an opening statement from Coach, questions for the student athletes, and then questions for Coach. Coach, congrats, and go ahead.
Well, first of all, congrats to BC for a great season and a great game today. We knew it was going to be tough and go down to the wire. It doesn't surprise me that was a one-goal game. We've lost a lot of one-goal games, this crew, over the past couple years in the Final Four games, so it was really nice to be on the other side of it. And I always think if you can lose a one-goal game, you can win a one-goal game, so that was going through my mind. I also want to take a second to not only acknowledge these unbelievable players, student athletes that I've been gifted for the past 1 year, but the players in the locker room that don't get a lot of credit, Taylor Wareheim, Amanda Fedor, Melissa Scanoni, Riley Casey, Alyssa Long, Katie Thompson, Amelia Sheehan, Ella Little, Anna Barton, Brooke Baker, sorry, I call them all by the last names, Hardin, Hoffer, Stella, Elsie, Bailey. Those guys contributed too. There are guys that make us better every day in practice. And someone asked me yesterday about how we rotate people in, and we do it all the time. And so this was a total team effort this year, from our stars on stage all the way through our roster. So just incredibly proud and grateful at this moment.
Take questions for the student athletes. Matt?
Sam, when you decided to transfer here, is this what you pictured?
Absolutely. I wouldn't have transferred here if I didn't. But yeah, it was kind of in my mind the whole time. I want to go somewhere and I want to win, whether I'm on the field or not, and I can make an impact on the field or not. So that was my intention of transferring to a school like UNC, is to win a national championship. So I'm just glad we did it.
In the front row and then in the second row.
This is for Taylor, Jamie, and Allie. When that final horn goes off, take me through that moment. I mean, you guys have won pretty much everything but a national championship during your time at UNC. So what were the emotions?
You can take that one.
I think it was just a lot of emotions. I started crying immediately. I ran to Caitlin Wurzberger. She was the closest one next to me. And we just embraced each other and we were like, oh my God, like we did this, like holy. But it was just, I'm just cried tears of gratitude. It wasn't of sadness this time. It was of gratitude and just looking around on the girls on the field, girls on the bench, the coaches, just being so proud of each and every one of them, whether they played or not. Just we couldn't do it without all of us there. And I'm still speechless. It's an indescribable moment.
In the second row.
Yes, Jamie, first of all, I just want to say congratulations on a sensational season, and you're one of the top scorers of the team. Prior to the game and now with this game, were you concerned that you're going to be facing a Charlotte North in a showdown on who scores more goals? Do you feel any pressure on that? And how do you feel now with the win that you came up in top?
Not really. I think kudos to her. She's an amazing player, probably the best player I've ever played against. But also at the same time, it's not about individual players, going down to the championship game. It's about all of us. So I knew if our offense was together, our defense was together, the middies and the 30s were together, that we'd be unstoppable.
Taylor, amazing game today. Can you talk to us a little bit about, you didn't have the best game before. You were candid and honest about that. Tell us what it's like to be in the goal and how you were able to really come out and have an amazing day today.
Yeah, I think obviously Friday for me stung a little bit because I knew that I'm better than that, but I just had to come forward and acknowledge the fact, because I think that's the first part in growing as a player, is acknowledging when you don't play well. And it was awesome to have my teammates have my back the entire game on Friday, and I knew going into this game that I was the one that was going to need to have their backs this time. I had to not make up for Friday, but I knew that I wanted to play to my standard, especially in such a game like this. So we just kind of fine-tuned everything, and I really got a nice text from Phil Barnes, my defensive and goalie coach, this morning, that really just kind of reminded me to play my game and to really just focus on what I need to do versus what everything else is going on around me.
You have a follow-up in the back. We'll go to Matt first and then back to you. Yeah.
Allie, Acacia said that she thought this was a showcase for the two-way middies this weekend. Did you feel that way?
Ask her legs.
Yes, my legs. They say yes. Yeah, I mean, I think our team in BC really showcase what it means to be a two-way midi. We have plenty of them. They have great two-way midis too, and it's a hard job. And playing defense, offense, everything in between, we knew that it would be a battle. And luckily, we have so much depth, and we were able to run lots of lines, give each other breaks. And I just think for all the midis out there, all those little girls watching, like, this was a great game to watch because those are the midis that you want to try to embody. And on both sides, it's something that we work really hard at, and everybody should be proud of their performance.
Question for Sam. Amazing transition to UNC. I assume you know that the majority of your Richmond team was very close on the sidelines cheering for you. Do you have a message for them?
I love them with my whole heart. They are the reason that I'm here. I have no regrets going to Richmond. Best program. Loved my time there. But even throughout the transfer process, they were just pushing me and always supporting me. They're my #1 fans. They're making T-shirts of me. They're just always there, supporting me throughout everything, whether it be on the field, off the field, lacrosse related or not. So those are some of my people, and I credit a lot of my success to them because a lot of them have everything to do with it.
Matt Silva.
Yeah, Jamie, obviously seeing a face guard for much of the game, you're trying to find different ways to contribute, and then you have that breakaway goal where Olivia Dirks finds you like pretty much halfway down the field, and that seemed to be a real energy boost for you guys. Is that kind of your intention when you're facing a face guard? It's do what you can to just inject those moments of energy, because I believe there was another fast break goal right after that. It seemed to be a real swing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I kind of had some deja vu from last time we played BC, but I just wanted to do whatever I can to just be a good teammate out there, whether it's make sure everyone's heads up and we have great body language and not letting the score affect us and just playing how we play, then that's fine by me. It doesn't really matter how many points I have. It depends what the end result is. And if that means setting picks or just being that spark, then I'm fine with that. And everyone stepped up. Allie, Sam, Scotty, Dirks, countless names. They all just really played their best today, and I'm just really proud of them and did what I could, and we came out winning, so I'm really happy.
Dave?
This for Jamie, Taylor, and Allie. You come back with the COVID year, obviously last year, lots going on, and you fall in Towson. Just what was the decision-making process like choosing to return to North Carolina? Was it difficult? You had to decide a few things. Just kind of take me through that process.
For me, it was kind of a no-brainer walking off the field last year off Towson, just knowing that we had unfinished business, and I knew for a fact that our team was headed in the right direction. Obviously, COVID made that really hard. It made it really hard for us to be together as a team off the field, and I think that kind of trickled onto our performances on the field last year, and I think this year we really took a different approach in terms of spending a lot of time with one another, really meshing with one another off the field so that it showcased on the field, and I think that was one of the things that I knew for a fact this team was capable of, and it was one of the many reasons why I decided to come back.
Kenny? Oh, sorry.
Sorry. It was a very easy decision. I think once COVID happened, no matter what the result would have been last year, I was going to be here for 5 years, and that's just because of the people. I wouldn't be here with any other group, and I'm really happy in my decision to stay.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Probably the best decision of my life. Yeah, same thing as them. It's the people and the place. It's just too good to leave. I wasn't ready to leave just yet. And luckily, like Sam and I, we're in a great education. We're getting our degree, our master's degree, so I can't complain about anything. This is awesome.
Allie, at the lowest point of Friday's game, when it's an 8-goal game, and it seems like the deck is completely stacked against it, do thoughts of last year and all the other years, how they ended, come back to you, and now here you are, obviously Championship Sunday, with nets everywhere. I mean, like, do you think about it in that moment?
I mean, honestly, yeah, we were down 8-9 goals, and a lot of people asked me that after the game, like, oh, did you really feel like you were going to lose it? And the answer is no. Like, we have so much confidence in one another and so much belief in one another, and we just kept reinforcing that. All the little plays, all the defensive stops, the checks, the doubles, the goals, one by one. And each time we were just looking in each other's eyes, saying, I believe in you, you got this. And there was never a doubt. And just that belief is what brought us here today and what helped us come out with that win.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, like every single day in practice, Jenny will be running different high pressure situations where our attack is down by a certain amount of goals, and we have to work really, really hard against obviously our blue team guys who are essentially, if you were to cut the team down the middle, it's basically like playing against ourselves. And so to sit there and put all the work in for a moment like that, I think really showed on Friday.
Any more for the student athletes? Last one in front.
After Friday's game, when you guys found out you're going to be playing BC again, were there any thoughts of redemption after, last year and the year before, and how does it feel to come out on top now?
I really liked what Jenny said to us after we found out that it was Boston. No matter what, it's just a red team, and we're just there to play. It doesn't matter if we saw them 2 times before, 5 times. It really didn't matter. We just knew what the outcome would be, and I think that we just had to play Carolina lacrosse and just have fun and believe in one another, and that's exactly what we did.
Sam, Allie, Taylor, Jamie, congratulations. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Need another stick.
Dave.
I won't ask what she was stuck with all the stick carrying, but Coach Walker Weinstein said that she purposely tried to slow the pace down, tried to keep the tempo slow, and I think actually frustrated your offense for a while. How are you all trying to adapt to kind of a slower style in this game than maybe perhaps on Friday?
People have been doing that to us all year. We weren't riding great in the first half, so we challenged our attack to ride better in the second half, third and fourth quarter, just to put a little bit more pressure on them, knowing that they're playing a little slower. So we're accustomed to that. And if we can take more time off the clock in the ride, then it's less time our defense has to sit around and spin the ball a little bit. But I don't think that affected us today. I thought we were hurried a little bit in the early part of the game. And then I actually liked where we were, I think a third quarter, I can't remember, it was far away, it's either first, I think third quarter. We got some good looks, we just need to take an extra second. Rachel made some really good saves on us, but I liked the flow of our offense at that point. We made some shifts and some adjustments to try to help people out a little bit, get them a second wind and get them focused so they could go in and make a big play. Scotty Rose's game-winning goal at the end. We pulled her off to get her a little breather because she had put in a lot of miles, the day. We track all this. So we took her out, gave her a little break, put Nicole in. Nicole gets a great goal in transition. Someone else said something about a transition goal. So we got 2 in a row on that. And I thought that was when we kind of came back to life a little bit.
Coach, first of all, congratulations on the win. And both teams have been playing very hard to get to the finals. Some are roller coaster games, winning by 1 goal. My question to you is: you led 7-5.5, and the third quarter, Boston scored 3 straight goals. Were you concerned at that point that here we go again? And what kind of adjustment did you make in order to overcome the deficit?
No, I wasn't concerned. There's a lot of time to be played, and I have a lot of trust in my players. But I thought my defensive coordinator, Phil, was not happy with the defense because they started sliding quite a bit. And he didn't want them sliding that aggressively. So he was on them to stop sliding. I believe one of those goals was an 8-meter and one was like a kind of a grub goal that got tipped. I think it got tipped. So again, I didn't feel that their flow was outrageous offensively. I just think, an 8-meter goal and a tipped goal, we're still in the battle at that point. So we weren't concerned, but they're a great team. Charlotte North is an incredible player, and, they were going to go on a run. And I had a lot of confidence that our players would respond to that.
Jenny, first of all, congratulations to you and your team, well deserved. Can you talk to us a little bit about your defensive unit as a whole? Because I think you guys played amazing defense today, and most of the players, with the exception of Taylor, were not from the defense.
Yeah. Our defense has been great all year. And actually, ironically, in 21, I thought it was one of our best defensive units we've ever had. I think this one matches it. Emma Trenchard's, her and Charlotte, I think, are going to be happy to be on the same U.S. team this summer and not having to battle against each other. But I think with Emma and Emily Knowles, Gabby Hall, and then Brooklyn Walker-Welsh and Julia Dorsey, those 5 have really risen to the occasion this year. Brooklyn's only a freshman, but she played great today against Medjid. Let's see, Knowles had to take, what's her name? I always forget her name, number 30, Martella. I don't always say it right, so I didn't want to be disrespectful. But, that matchups are hard, and we had to take care of, obviously, Belle Smith. So our middies had a pretty big job, too. They're very dynamic offensively. It's not just the Charlotte North show. I think their staff has done a great job of creating a lot of different looks in their offense, but our D is tough one-on-one. It's interesting. Sometimes we get into games against other teams and they'll say, well, the foul count is this to that. I say, well, we don't foul a lot. We use our feet. We don't, sometimes you get a cross check in there, but we're not a penalized team because we work really hard to create great one-on-one defenders. And that was on display today. And listen, attack is much easier to play in our game because you can't hit and you can't slash and all that kind of stuff. So the talent on our defensive end was really good. And like Ali said, it's hard to play a midi in our program, but we take a lot of time developing our middies so they can handle both ends of the field.
Yeah, Jenny, the transfer portal has become ever the topic in the COVID era, and the balance of how you build a roster and who you integrate. Obviously, North Carolina has done just fine with showing what Sam showed this weekend, and you see Kerrigan Miller there on your sidelines. There seems to be a real way of integrating these new people to make them seamlessly fit in with the rest of the group. How do you approach that as a coach?
It's part of the rules right now, so you've got to use it if you have the opportunity to use it. Carolina is not an easy place to bring transfers into because you got to get into a graduate program. We don't have one-year easy programs that slide our slide defense. Yeah, we don't have a program that you can just it's 500 people deep, a one-year program that you can walk out with an easy degree. We don't have that, so you've got to be academic. You've got to have an interest, and it's a process. It's not an easy process at our school. Sam was on it early. She's in this journalism program, getting a master's there. Andy's in our school of sports administration, and that's what Kerrigan's finishing up this year. So, I think integrating people into our crew is about personalities. You've got to be egoless, and you've got to want to come in and you got to work. It's not just taking anybody who writes us. We vet it pretty intensely to make sure it's a good fit for our team, both personality most important, but also positionally as well.
Back in here.
Jenny, with sellout crowd, it was on ESPN today, and this is kind of a precursor to one of the biggest summers in women's lacrosse with the international events and pro. Just can you describe what this moment maybe is in a bigger picture of the sport?
That's a great question. So I was told my assistant before the game, I looked across the field and the stands were packed, and underneath that little pack was like Homewood Field, this little sign. And I said to her, I grew up watching games here because I grew up probably like a mile or two away from here, and I used to come and watch the men play in a packed house. And here we are in 2022 watching a women's championship game at a packed house. And nothing makes me more excited to see all the little girls who want to get autographs from our players. They look up to them. And precursor to the summer, like for the first time, kids can buy a jersey with their favorite player's name on the back. The U.S. team, we've been all over the country switching hats, but we've been all over the country, and there's recognition for our players, like who they are and what position they play, and that's so exciting. So we're hoping Hillman Field's a great place to play because of how intimate it is. I wish it had another like 5,000 seats. That would have been really cool, but it doesn't. And hoping this summer the venues will be packed as well because we have a lot of traction right now. Obviously, the World Cup's been picked up by ESPN. Is that correct? ESPN. And so I'm looking forward to just great crowds at the World Cup.
these last few years for you guys, endings have been, not what you wanted. When you get the Gatorade bath on you and you see your graduating players like Ortega, Scotty, Ali, all celebrating, what are your emotions and thoughts going on through that moment?
I just, right before we play this game, I just wanted it for them so bad. Because, I keep going, I've been here a long time, but they only have this one last shot and they've worked so hard, and just because you work hard doesn't mean you're going to get it. And so just for them personally, they're going to spend the rest of their lives as national champions from the University of North Carolina. And that to me has a special place in my heart because I care about them so much.
Wanted to ask about Taylor, who's been with this program probably longer than any of your teammates. She came up huge today with 11 saves. What has it been like seeing her after all these years and ending her career on a note like this?
It was awesome. I thought, most of the stats are pretty even. I think the margin in the cage was only 3 saves. I think she had 11 saves today, but it was 3 more than the other goalie. It was probably the 3 more that we needed. So she was the margin of victory today in the cage. We call her grandpa because she's in her 6th year, but she's brought so much depth to our program, not just as a goalie and her talents as an athlete, but her artistic ability, she just does so much. And now with NIL, she's just continuing to grow, and it's really fun to see her have a game like this today and really be the difference.
Yeah, Coach, we talked about kind of you bringing in grad transfers, but you also had to convince some other players to stay, with that COVID year. What were some of those conversations like with Jamie and Taylor from coming back again? Yeah, and kind of mixing up that roster and figuring all that out.
It's a process, but you heard their response to that question. I didn't have to convince our 5th years to come back. I met with them individually, and each of them in the first 30 seconds was like, yeah, I'm coming back. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm coming back. I'm like, all right. I think it says a lot about the program, the enjoyment that they have on the team, the quality of their experience, and also just the passion they have for the game of lacrosse. It's not beat out of them. They want to continue to play for as long as they can.
Kenny, last one.
Coach, you opened with so many of those players who are not getting the headlines or the recognition. And I think if you're watching the bench from any vantage point that's not on the field, you can see Sheehan, Thompson, a variety of other players. They're in it with the crowd. They're in it with their teammates on the sidelines. They might have been just as big of a spark as anybody else.
Yeah.
During the long delay Friday, did they have any impact in those conversations and keeping people loose and bringing people together?
Yeah. I mean, that was a pretty good delay. It helped us out, I thought, quite a bit. It gave us a chance to talk about some things in the locker room. But, I've got Liv Peichel, Mackenzie Rich. Those are like our thing 1 and thing 2, and all they're doing is jumping around and dancing. And, the overall energy of the guys who don't have to walk out on the field and perform on this day, they're really, really important. But prior to a game, Sam Garrett's back, and she'll pull them in because she comes in off the bench as a tech mid. She pulls them in, they give them a pep talk on the sidelines. So they're very much a part of the successes that we've had this season, and they have a hard role. They want to play. I get it. And there's different opportunities all year long that we do play a lot of players, but down the stretch, it gets a little bit more difficult.
Coach, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.